Back, everyone. This is a new playthrough. This is 428 Shibuya Scramble. I have no idea what this game is about. I have no idea. So this is going to be absolutely new. It seems to be like a live action thing, but I don't know. So we're gonna find out what this is. You want the guide to gameplay? Yes, please. Story is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Their resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, are blah blah blah. Time to get scrambled. Ah, the city of New York. I recognize it anywhere. Music's going nuts. Is that a rooftop soccer park? Soccer field? Yeah, really. I think there's a cage around it. So many crosswalks, holy cow. Hey, I'm walking here. There's scramble crossings, get it? No. What do you mean by this? Is this a movie? Is this movie night? I have the same radio. Middle-aged man in a ski mask. It's movie night. I didn't know. Masked man. I've been deceived. I've been deceived, Alpha. Remember flip phones? I remember flip phones. It's that girl. Oh, I don't want to get the MCA there. Was that a bomb? Bomb. Oh, it's a make your own adventure game. I remember I had those books. It was a lot of fun. Back when I had an imagination. As you play through the game, the various mechanics will be explained. In 428, you follow the stories of multiple protagonists at once. Your decisions impact their experience. Oh, it's just like, what's it called? A detective game. Rain something. Heavy Rain. Your decisions impact the experiences as you read the story. Oh, also, yeah, the Telltale games. Chocolate Rain, yes, that's the one. What does the day hold in store? Fate. Their fate is in your hands. Hopefully, you can see them all through the end. To start, you have two characters, Shinya Kano and Aki Endo. Let's begin by checking out Kano's story. Oh, he's so dramatic. Just 2 more minutes to go before I get scrambled. Shinya Kano noted the time again on his watch, scowling at the slow creep of the second hand. The time was 9:58 a.m. Furrows of consternation creased his forehead. He wasn't nervous, but he knew better than to expect everything to go smoothly. Hey there, Tarthur, how you doing? Keeping a level head was proving rather difficult. There was no room for failure. What is this game? I have no idea. I think it's a visual novel. Lives were on the line here. He eyed his surroundings. Was the perp really going to show up? When? When would he be coming from? Where would he be coming from? How would he make his approach? Can you bring the sound back? The Shibuya Scramble was as packed as ever. Oh, is that what it is? A throng of people. A throng is about 500 to 1,000. I know that through Might and Magic 3. Heroes of Might and Magic 3. A throng of people crossing this way and that, blissfully unaware of the dozens of detectives hidden in its midst. Whoa. Oh, I'm detecting here. All right, another minute and a half. Kano glanced down at his watch yet again. A mere 30 seconds had passed. I should have had this stream started and not be the second game, if I'm gonna read this much. Detective Kano had been with the enforcement arm of Shibuya's Criminal Affairs section for a year now, but he'd never been a part of an operation this big before. He eyed the young woman standing beside the statue up ahead. She was small enough to get lost in the crowd, and she carried a nondescript attaché case. That's where she stores her guns, just like in Resident Evil 4. Hitomi Asawa, age 19. The attaché case in her hands contained a full 50 million yen in cash, $5 American. Yesterday, her twin sister Maria had been kidnapped. This was the ransom payment. The culprit had called Hitomi last night at home, referring to her by name and telling her to wait by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya. It was almost time, but nothing. Kano was staring fixedly at the second hand of his watch when a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk murmured just loud enough for him to hear. Come on, Kano. Quit looking at your watch so much. What if the kidnapper sees you? Kano tried to look nonchalant as he lifted his eyes, but the scruffy character continued. Too nervous. Just relax already. You're the one acting sus, Susayama. Kano frowned. Why would some homeless guy be talking to me? Oh. Some words and phrases in the text appear in blue. These are called tips. Ooh. Are we gonna tip? This will lead you to read some extra info relating to that word or phrase. There are tips containing general knowledge and ones that are 428 specific, marked with "and" respectively. Okay, give me a second here. Turned on the light so I can read and don't burn my eyes. Official name, Shibuya Central Precinct, responsible for the safety of approximately 200,000 people in 32 neighborhoods, including Usiga, Yugusidanicho, Udagawacho, Ibisu Nishi, Ibisu Minami, Oyamacho, Kamiyamacho, Sakura Gao Kacho, Sasazuka, Saruga Kucho, Shibuya Shoto, Jingume, Shinsensho, Jinan Sendagaya, Daikon Yamacho, Doge Coin, Yomigaya, Tomigaya, Nanpei Daicho, Nishihara, Hatagaya, Hachi Yamacho, Hatsi Sudai, Ishigachi, Hiro Hanmachi, Ariyamacho, Moto Yoyo Gisho, Yoyogi, and Yoyogi Kamizo Nocho. Exactly, it's a test. He always went a little overboard with the disguises. He claimed that it was all part of the job, but word around the station was that he just liked playing dress up. Hey pal, spare some change? Sasayama lurched to his feet and shuffled in close to Kano. Hey, knock that off! Fittingly for the part, Sasayama reeked pretty badly. Well, ain't so sus now, huh? He clung to Kano with mock camaraderie, despite the younger man's attempt to pull away. Come on, Sasayama, cut it out! Sasayama's blithe confidence rattled Kano's nerves. The theater kid turned police 100%. Of course, there was a good reason for that confidence. This was Kano and Sasayama's jurisdiction. Oh, wait a minute, what does that mean? A particular region over which an organization or a member thereof has control or authority refers here to an area under the jurisdiction of various police precincts. The Metropolitan Police Department, at the pinnacle of the Tokyo's police hierarchy, has vastly more authority than local precincts. But since many officers wind up needing to work with both, the outright rivalry between the two isn't as notable as TV dramas make it seem to be. Oh, sometimes 2 or more tips will appear. So many tips. This was kind of in Sasayama's jurisdiction, but they were positioned a good distance from where the handoff was to take place. The statue of Hachiko was surrounded by elite investigators from one of HQ's special investigation team. Oh, we're learning about the Japan. The bronze statue of a dog erected in 1934. The dog was famous for loyally waiting for his absent master. Well known as a meetup spot outside of Shibuya Station, Other popular meetup spots at the station are the display car for the original Tokyo 5000, commonly known as the Green Frog, and the Moyai statue by the west entrance. Ooh. Here refers to the Metropolitan Police Department, the Tokyo Police Section responsible for managing 101 precincts within the city. Japan's largest police organization. In addition to policing Tokyo, it has various other duties and authorities for maintaining public order in the capital. Kano and his partner were just there to provide backup if the kidnapper attempted to flee. Look, just try to relax, we'll be fine. Sasayama gave him a wink. A moment later, the radio squawked in Kano's ear. All right, everyone, it's time. Keep your eyes open. The voice coming in through the earpiece was Koji Kuze, HQ's operations director. Oh, what is that? What does that mean? The individual responsible for directing the investigation in the event of a serious crime. If a task force is set up, the police director is the one who assumes command. TV dramas and other fictional accounts often feature some young prodigy from the MPD as operations director, but in reality, the position usually goes to a proven veteran. Until last year, he'd been the Shibuya Precinct's head detective and Kano's supervisor. We don't know when the perp's gonna make contact. Don't let your guard down. Kuze's low, gravelly voice echoed in Kano's ear. You don't sound too worried, Kuze. Kano winced at Sasayama's words. How could the man be so nonchalant? Something should be happening. Whap! Kano smacked himself in the thigh to release a little tension. The sound was louder than intended. Though the suit hid his muscular physique, it did little to dampen the noise. He needed to stay focused. He might be called to action at any moment. The department handled abduction cases according to a certain standard investigation procedure. Was it an attempt to extort money, or was the motive something personal? The answer to that question determined how they deal with the criminal. And based on the investigation team's initial findings this time around, they probably weren't dealing with a professional kidnapper. You have to voice act like you have a muscular physique now. Okay. Still, in all likelihood, it was someone with quite a long rap sheet. Probably someone who knew the family. But so far, they had few leads on who might bear the grudge. With the situation so unclear, the plan was to apprehend whomever came to make the handoff on site. If the culprit ran with the money, there would be no guarantee of the hostage's well-being. Still nothing, Sasayama muttered. There he is! He's here! Oh wait, there he is! He's here! Kuze broke in, his voice spiking into an excited chirp. Kuze's particular voice quirk. Whenever he gets overly flustered, excited, or panicked, he slips into a childish register, prone to babbling and pitching his voice. Subject is a young male in his 20s, wearing a bandana and an orange hoodie. Kuze, normally calm and stoic, was now squawking like an excited child. That only happened when he got particularly worked up. Kano and Sasayama steeled themselves. They could see the subject now. A 20-something male nonchalantly approached Hitomi to talk to her. All right, people. Are we ready to ground this guy? Kuze was stationed in the mobile command center, not far from the intersection, keeping tabs on the situation via video surveillance from the camera team. The young man started speaking enthusiastically to Hitomi. The detectives watched, uncertain. Was this really the kidnapper? Oh. You'll encounter selections like these during the story. These choices will change the lives of other people, in addition to changing your own fate. Make your choice. The current choice will not impact you in any of the other protagonists. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. BB? A? B. The situation still wasn't entirely clear. He needed to get a better look at things. The newcomer held a bundle of letter-sized paper, which he showed to Hitomi as he went on talking. He tried to hand her one of the papers, but she pointedly ignored him. Undeterred, the man kept trying to foist it off from her. Hitomi refused to respond, becoming as motionless as the statue of Hachiko behind her. Until, finally, the man gave up and walked away. Guess it wasn't him. Kano felt the tension of the moment linger in his spine. Guy must have been hitting on her. Oh, what does that mean? Succeeding at meeting someone on the fly like this takes a special knack. Looks are also important. Sometimes, of course, the person is trying to get your attention out of nowhere. The person trying to get your attention out of nowhere is just trying to make a sales pitch for a product or nearby establishment. At a first glance, it isn't always easy to tell the difference. I mean, she's pretty cute and all. He had a point. No, of course. Something in Sasayama's voice made Kano brace himself. Let's make him southern. She's got nothing on my Mi-chan. Oh, music's going nuts. Mi-chan was Sasayama's wife. They'd gotten married just last month. Let me tell you, Kano, married life is the best. You gotta hurry up and give it a try for yourself. This was Sasayama's favorite topic lately, and Kano was getting more and more fed up with it. Sasayama, come on, just knock it off, okay? Is this a Freeport game? It is a Freeport game. The phrase had become a common refrain of his since the department partnered them. Fine, fine. Let's talk about your girlfriend then. Huh? Wait, huh? Now you can't be serious. Sasayama leaned in close again. What's she like? We're not having this conversation. Kano muttered, looking away. Aw, come on. I don't even know who's who. Sasayama set his hand on Kano's chest, still playing the homeless troublemaker. Oh, show me your phone. Let me see your lock screen. Huh? Sasayama pawed for the phone. You gotta have a pic of your girl on lock screen, yeah? I do not. But he did. It was scary how on the mark Sasayama's instincts were. Hey, cut it out. We're in the middle of an investigation. Oh, I'm investigating. Sasayama chuckled as he plucked the phone from Kano's pocket. His face scrunched up with astonishment as he looked at the lock screen. The heck is this? It's not... Ain't this Masayami Nagahama? A national star. Tends to play the heroine on national morning soap operas or in the national historical dramas. Her songs have been a series of national hits, and she's even slated to host the year-end national singing competition program. Everything about her is national. He's pogging. Kano realized he had to bite the bullet. No, that's my girlfriend. Her name is Rumi, and she's... Sasayama cut him off. You telling me this ain't Masayami Nakahama, the famous actress? Because this right here is Masayami Nakahama. Like I said, you sly old dog, trying to make like you're dating Masayami Nakahama. No, I'm not. I mean, I guess Rumi does kind of look like her. Sasayama let out a huff. For real? You really think I'm gonna fall for that? There's nothing to fall for, I swear. Sasayama scowled, unconvinced. Alright then, why don't you marry her? Kano stammered, but he had no answer. Truth was, he would have happily married her already, but there were obstacles that needed to be overcome. Okay, playtime's over. Let's focus on the job. That was Sasayama. Kano let out a quick, uneasy sigh, but his shoulders did feel looser. Maybe Sasayama had been trying to relieve a bit of tension. Maybe he should be grateful. By now, several minutes had passed since the guy with the papers had gone away. He peered at Hitomi. The strain on her face was visible. In addition to the weight of the attaché case itself, the 10,000 yen bills it held weighed close to 6 kilos. What's that? Is it 2.2? Going 15 pounds? Her slender arms must be getting tired. Still, she refused to set the case down. She wasn't taking any chances with her sister's life. The kidnapping case had begun the day before, at around 7 p.m. This is MPD Dispatch. The Shibuya precinct is reporting a missing person, believed to be an abduction. In Japanese law, the act of indirectly luring or deceiving someone into the control of a third party is known as kidnapping. Using forcible threats or violence to achieve the same result is known as abduction. Subject is Maria Osawa, a 19-year-old student at Midoriyama Academy. Last seen at the LL Diner near campus. A man was allegedly seen forcing her into a car nearby. All officers in the vicinity report to the scene at once. Kano and Sasayama had been working on a burglary case in Jingume's 5th district when they got the call. The two arrived at the LL Diner at 7:15 p.m. At roughly the same time, several other officers showed up to secure the area, blocking off the entry to nearby roadways and monitoring the surrounding establishments. Inside the restaurant, Kano and Sasayama were met by the girl who reported the kidnapping. It was the victim's twin sister, Hitomi. Could you tell us about when Maria was taken? Starting from the very beginning, Kano said, keeping his voice low. My sister and I, we were supposed to go to a party together today. Hitomi was trembling, her voice hoarse. but I messed up the time. I showed up right at 7, an hour later than I was supposed to. So Maria had gone alone to the party, a mixer for locals and exchange students. Hitomi, arriving late, had showed up just in time to glance out through the restaurant window and see her sister getting shoved into a car. She described the vehicle as a blue station wagon of Japanese make. Why? Why would something like this happen to her? Hitomi held back her tears, but she was shaking all over. Did you get a look at the kidnapper? Yes, it was a man, middle-aged. There was another eyewitness, Leland Palmer. He identified himself as a lecturer at Hitomi and Maria's school. He's a foreigner. I saw too. Like Hitomi says. I heard Hitomi cry out and I went to the window to look, and his Japanese was halting, as if he hadn't been in the country for very long. And I think maybe that the kidnapper was working alone. Land explained that he'd seen the man shove Maria into the back seat, then clamber into the driver's seat. If he had an accomplice, wouldn't they have been driving? Neither Hitomi nor Leland had gotten a look at the suspect's face. Kano was interviewing the others who had been on the scene, looking for other potential witnesses when his phone rang. It was Yoshio Kajiwara, one of the senior detectives, who set up a task force for the investigation. Get back to the station once you have a handle on the situation there. Barely a half hour had passed between the time the kidnapping was reported and the time the task force began operation. What is a task force? Well, let's find out. Roughly 150 people are working on the case in the Shibuya Precinct conference room. The main force at work is HQ's First Special Investigation Unit. Additionally, other detective sections, a riot squad, and investigators from neighboring precincts have been assembled. Damn, for one person? It's kind of nuts. It's just like Disco Elysium, yeah, but I'm forced to raid, which is worse. When Kano and Sasayama got back to the precinct station, Kuze had already arrived from HQ. He informed them that a response team, what does that mean, had been formed to investigate the victim's home. In a case where someone has been abducted for ransom, it is often difficult to resolve the situation without cooperating with the victim's family, but the family can also be a hindrance in making an arrest. To help guide the family's action, a response team is assembled and stationed at the victim's home, led by an investigator with the proper training. How about reading with a Spanish accent? No. Maybe a character, but not all this. Kano could feel a particular tension in the air. Unfamiliar MPD detectives scurried to and fro around the Shibuya offices. He pulled one of them aside to get a quick update. An hour had now passed since the kidnapping. There had been one new development. The perpetrator had made a threatening call to the victim's home. He said the following: "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., by Hachiko in Shibuya. Have the sister Hitomi bring 50 million yen. If not, the girl's life is forfeit." How would they have 50 million yen, though? Why is he eating a banana? Kajiwara from the precinct was put on the response team, along with the detectives from elsewhere who would receive special training in abduction cases. Normally, a local precinct detective wouldn't have gone undercover in a victim's home. Kuze, however, had decided that having a knowledgeable local was crucial, and had sent Kajiwara along. Yeah, it's weird, right? Maybe he's sus. It's basically Amogus, the VN. The detectives disguise themselves as delivery people and movers to make their way inside without arousing suspicion. Man of high class and stature consumes banana. Canadian left in shock. Basically that. Arriving there at 8:30. Response team had come prepared to run a trace if the kidnapper contacted the family a second time. What is a trace? Well, the trace is the act of pinpointing the source of an incoming phone call. The police are now allowed to do this independently without oversight. We must go through a formalized process that includes securing the cooperation of the phone company. In the past, conducting the trace itself would take time, but nowadays, acquiring the location can be practically instantaneous. Wow. Technology, right? But there were no further calls. Kano checked his watch again. 20 minutes had now passed. It's the time designated for the ransom handoff. The kidnapper had yet to appear. Crap. I think we might have spooked him? He wondered aloud. Hey, stay calm. Sasayama scanned the passing throng. He's just playing with us. Why did this guy even pick this place? Kano voiced the question he'd been asking himself ever since he heard the kidnapper's demand. Sasayama shrugged. Figure he must want to blend in with the crowd, nab the money, and disappear before anybody knows he's there. That would be my guess. In that case, why not just pick Shinjuku or Ginza? Big crowd didn't just benefit the kidnapper after all. It also allowed the police to use the sea of people to conceal their own operation. Right now, there's 50 detectives stationed within a 50-meter radius of where Hitomi stood. The kidnapper would be taking a major risk if his plan was to nab the ransom money and run. That's what bothered Kano. Any criminal with half a brain would know better than to do a handoff in front of Hachiko. You're overthinking things, pal, Sasayama grumbled. No, I'm not. Kano reached into his pocket and pulled out his notepad. Excuse me? This was Kano's dick diary, which he always kept close at hand. Sasayama rolled his eyes. That thing again? You gonna whip it out? Kano ignored him, flipping through the notepad pages. Aha! Here it is. Dick Dictum. Dick Dictum 89. The more irrelevant something seems, the more relevant it's bound to be. It was a favorite saying of Kuzo Tatano, an assistant inspector from the Shibuya precinct. Tatano was the kind of detective Kano aspired to be. For the current operation, he'd been placed in charge of Hitomi's personal safety. He was in a position to defend her as soon as the ransom had been handed off. Of course, Hitomi hadn't been informed of how much protection she was under. There was a risk that if she acted too secure, it might alert the kidnapper. I think Tatano has the right idea. Sasayama snorted quietly. Maybe. I mean, he's a great detective. Don't get me wrong. But do you know how many irrelevant things there are to consider? Again, Kano ignored him. It didn't matter if nobody else understood. Kano had faith in Tatano as both a detective and as an individual. He had first witnessed Tatano's brilliance during a standoff at a financial company 3 years earlier. The man had shut himself in an office, splashing gasoline everywhere and threatening to set the place ablaze. While the others hesitated, Tatano unflinchingly doused himself with gasoline and strode into the building, where he managed to talk the man down and secure the scene. But why though? Like, you could go in without being doused in gasoline. The others had been awestruck by Tatano's actions. And Kano, who at the time had been content to be a run-of-the-mill policeman, had found it quite inspiring. Still, you know. Sasayama murmured under his breath. As great as a detective as Tatano is, it's not like anyone else in the world has ever heard of him. I suppose not, Kano said. So? Another banana. The only time anyone here ever hears about a cop's name is if he's caught up in some scandal or killed in the line of duty. I mean, it doesn't really seem fair now, does it? Kano just shrugged. It was a strange definition of unfair, really. I mean, you got celebrity chefs and celebrity hairdressers and stuff. So how come there's no celebrity gumshoes, you know? Look, please, can you just focus on what we're doing here? Kano rubbed his eyes, then turned his attention back to Hitomi. What's the matter? Didn't sleep? Not enough, I guess. Did you eat? Didn't have time. Between bringing in supplies for the base of operations and readying the team's vehicles, wait a minute. What is that? The base of operations is usually set up in a large room at the precinct, such as an auditorium. MPD and precinct investigators assemble there, and communications equipment, investigation resources, and such are brought in. Because of the scale and scope of these activities, newspaper reporters can be liable to notice, and so in cases such as kidnappings where a victim's personal safety is at stake, the flow of information is tightly controlled. Photocopying hundreds of documents and various other tasks. God, this game is slow-paced. Well, you know, it is what it is. Wish I could have a break of, you know, just talking. My throat is already hoarse. Kano had barely slept the previous night and hadn't gotten a meal in either. What have you been doing? Sasayama puffed out his chest. Saving up my energy for today. So you were sleeping. Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. I don't know. There he is! Kuze's voice chirped there he is! Kuze's voice chirped suddenly through Kano's earpiece. A man in his 20s wearing a sleeveless red jacket. He's carrying a garbage bag. A young man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He strode towards her, a sinister look on his face. He didn't match Hitomi's description, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper had hired some young street punk to snatch the ransom payment. That our guy? That our guy? What do you think what do you think, Kano? Yeah, I think it's gotta be. This was it. As Kano swallowed the lump in his throat, he bent his knees, ready to act fast. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness that had begun to take hold. Could this be the culprit? Or perhaps... The young man tried to snatch the briefcase from Hitomi, but she clung to it with desperate struggle. It's him! The detectives rushed in. Whoa, hey, what the hell? The young man cried out frantically and tried to dart away, but the officers closed in, forcing him bodily to the ground. Target secured. Oh, jeez, I think we got another suspect on the scene. Eek! He's taken the ransom! Kuze's hysterics made Kano spin around. Sure enough, a foreign-looking man was sprinting away, attaché case in hand. The mob of detectives scrambled to pursue. Before Kano could react, most of them had run off, leaving him to look after the original suspect. What should I do with this guy, sir? Might have some connection to the kidnapper. Should I bring him in? Yeah, sure, that'd be swell. I'm on it. With the help of one of the remaining detectives, Kano brought the suspect back to Shibuya Precinct. Look, how many times do we have to go through this? Cut the crap. Interrogation room. The young man, who gave his name as Achi Endo, steadfastly insisted on his innocence. Why'd you try to steal that case? Kano watched Achi's face intently. Oh, yeah, like I said, it looked heavy. I just wanted to help her out. It wasn't inconceivable that a young guy would try to help out a pretty girl. But Hitomi had just been standing there, hardly in desperate need of assistance. She hadn't set the case down, so I figured there had to be something important inside. An entry from Kano's Dick diary shot through his mind. Dick Dictum 25. When the tongue slips, grab it and yank out the truth. Classic advice for questioning. Something important you say, such as, how the heck would I know? Achi spat. He huffed and slumped back in his chair. The standard textbook back and forth had been going on for nearly an hour. Kano didn't mind. Chasing down criminals was all well and good. Questioning suspects was another key part of the job. Plenty of off-the-scene work went into cracking the case. Once again, he had Achi explain what he'd been doing, starting from the beginning. When Kano finally emerged from the interrogation room for a short break, he learned that there had been some progress on the case at the crime scene. What the police hadn't been able to determine yet, however, was whether or not Maria was safe. Fighting back his anxiety, Kano consulted his Dick diary. Dick Dictum 54. Haste makes waste. He felt his tension subside. Remembering the right maxim always helped. It was like casting a magic spell. Kano returned to confront Achi once more. You were there to act as a distraction to mess up the investigation, weren't you? Huh? Achi looked a bit dumbfounded. What are you on about? Dick Dictum 55. The truth hungers to be free. You hungry? Got some katsudon if you like. What's katsudon? It's a Japanese dish consisting of a bowl of white rice, topped with breaded pork cutlet, and egg. There are several variations, such as sauce katsudon, where the egg is replaced with Worcestershire sauce, and miso katsudon, where the pork is stewed in miso. Not typically the sort of thing a policeman offers a suspect during an interrogation. This could also be seen as baiting with food, and is to be avoided. Achi nodded silently. Oh man, I'm hungry. God damn it! I'm so hungry now! He didn't say Worcestershire sauce correctly. Absolute state. Whatever, man. Whatever, who cares? It's a stupid sauce anyways. Achi devoured the bowl of katsudon with gusto. He looked like he hadn't eaten in a while. Alright then, spill it. What's this guy after? Achi just shrugged. I don't know. He murmured, a thick slice of egg-laden pork between his teeth. How many accomplices do you have? But Achi just shook his head as he inhaled his food. Resigningly, Kano flipped through his notebook once more. Let's see, number 115. Use the lights to your advantage. As the minutes ticked past, he found himself referring to his book again and again, trying a dozen different methods to tease out whatever his suspect might be hiding. The experience began to feel strangely surreal. Their two voices echoing hollowly in the interrogation room. Eventually, Kano looked at the clock and realized that the questioning had been going on for nearly 5 hours. He still hadn't made any headway. What was he supposed to do next? Tatano would know, but he sure didn't. Still, he was determined to do whatever he could to keep the victim and her family safe. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he perused the Dick Diary like it was scripture. Number 116. The monotonous questioning was clearly tiring Aki out. His eyelids drooped like they were beginning to get heavy. Number 117. Get them when they're tired. Kano's eyes gleamed. You're part of some criminal gang, huh? Aki's head slumped forward heavily. Nodding off was basically the same as nodding yes, right? Mr. Kuze, I did it! The young guy we grabbed at the handoff site. He finally confessed to the crime. What? What are you talking about? Kuze laughed in disbelief. We're just about to apprehend the mastermind here. Huh? Kano clutched his cell phone dumbstruck. Listen, why don't you wait at HQ, okay? No, it can't be. After the kidnapping case wrapped up, Kano tendered his resignation. Guess I'm not cut out to be a detective after all, he thought to himself. He dropped the Dick Diary on his desk as he left the Shibuya precinct for the last time. Bad end. So long, Shibuya. Kano wound up at a bad end. However, this does not mean that the choice you made for Kano was the wrong one. One of the other protagonists, Aki Endo, has an impact on Kano's fate here. You can avoid a bad end by making proper decisions in another character's story. For a detailed hint, check the tip by underlining bad end. Okay. Kano had every reason to suspect Aki Endo, but arresting him turned out to be a mistake. If Aki hadn't approached Hitomi, this probably wouldn't have happened. Try playing Aki's story up to 10:30 and make a choice that keeps him from going up to her. If you do that, Kano won't even have a chance to arrest him. Things should play out differently. Oh, it's time to switch to Maj? I wouldn't mind that though, because my throat is parched, but oh, let's go. Let's do the full thing. We'll have a new game next month. I already finished it. Achi. Can I show this? Whoa, he's cool. No nonsense. Aki Endo called out at the door to his father's room. Okay, I'm heading out. Sure. His father sounded unconcerned. He didn't even open the door. Sure you don't want me to stay here in the shop? It's not like we're gonna get any other customers. Aki grimaced. Yeah, I guess not. The drawer in the front door, by the front door, held a stack of heavy-duty trash bags. Aki pulled out a few of them. I'm half asleep listening like some ASMR. It's a shame I don't have dual, what's it called? Like the dual-sided microphone. I guess it's gonna be that kind of day. He stuffed the trash bags into his pocket, then slipped on his favorite pair of sneakers. The entryway to Aki's home also led into the family shop. Various pieces of electronics were piled up like so much junk in the tiny retail shop. The slightest bump brought the risk of an avalanche. Aki wove his way through the gaps in the appliances like a spelunker exploring a cave. From Shibuya Station, if you make your way past the 109 building, then up through Dogenzaka, you'll come across an old shopping district. Nestled in its outskirts is Endo Electronics, in the same place it's been for decades. Within its dimly lit interior, you'll find rows of wares all caked in dust. At a glance, you might as well assume the place was closed. Mom and pop place like Endo's couldn't compete with the big consumer chains blooming throughout Shibuya. So far, the store had remained in business thanks to the locals who appreciated they made house calls to do repairs. But things weren't looking good for the future. Aki, the eldest son and nominal successor to the business, had no interest whatsoever in working there. Aki stepped out of the shop and into the sunny morning air. The good weather lifted his spirits. Alrighty, time to do this. He unfurled one of the big garbage bags, which caught the wind and fluttered like a cape. Then slowly he made his way toward Shibuya Station, scanning his surroundings all the while. Sheesh! This place is filthy! He paused to pick up a plastic bottle that had been tossed on the ground. Then, with a heavy sigh, he slipped the crushed receptacle into his trash bag. I was cleaning up the place. What a good lad. He'd been picking up trash around like this for about 6 months now. It had gotten so that the sort of garbage most people would hardly notice stood out to him like a sore thumb. Most days he'd fill his trash bag to the top by the time he made it from his house to Dogenzaka, his house in Dogenzaka to the train station. Today he was halfway to the station when a woman's anxious voice caught his attention. I'm sorry. I'm in a bit of a hurry here. Oh, When he looked up, he saw a timid-looking woman being confronted by 2 men, one with brown hair and one with black. From the look of them, he guessed that they were scouts from some hostess club. He ran into this sort of thing pretty frequently on his trash-cleaning walks around town. Another kind of trash to take care of. Aki quickly interposed himself between the girl and the 2 recruiters. Hey, can't you see you're bothering her? Huh? Who the hell are you? The 2 men glared. Take a hike, pal. Aki stood his ground. Look, she ain't interested. You're just gonna have to find some other mark. The hustler's annoyance turned to open rage. Well, listen to you. You got a bit of a mouth, huh, buddy? The brown-haired thug smacked his lips around his chewing gum like a dog, worrying a bone. How about we take this someplace more quiet, yeah? What does that mean? What this means can depend on the person speaking. To a young woman, let's go someplace more quiet might suggest a cafe or a park. But to a street punk, it might mean an alley where passerbys are unlikely to interrupt. The girl stood by uneasily, watching the goings-on. Hey, take it easy. I'm not looking for trouble. Is that supposed to be an apology? On your knees and beg, pal. The man spat his gum onto the ground. Aki looked down at the glistening wad of gum on the sidewalk. His last shred of goodwill vanished. You better pick that up right now. What? Did you hear me? Because I told you to get down on your knees and back. Aki's hand shot out, grabbing the man by the jaw. Whoa, easy, pal. The other man's bravado drained from his face. Aki tightened his grip on the brown-haired hustler's jaw. Sweat dripped from the man's reddening brow. Ugh. The man struggled, but Aki just tightened his grip. Gum's a real pain in the A to clean up after it's gotten stuck on the street, you know. Ever stop to consider that? Wait, are you? The other hustler's panicked eyes had fixed on Aki's chest. Oh, crap! That shirt man! The guy's voice was starting to break. That's mean clean! A guy with a mean clean shirt carrying around a trash bag? That means you're... His face went pale. Good, mean gleam. The other man echoed the words through his held shut jaw, tears welling up in his eyes. Get it right, pal. Aki clenched the man's jaw harder still. It's mean clean. Ow, 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 ow. We're sorry, man. You're Aki, right? Dude, we had honestly no idea. Come on, man, you gotta cut us some slack. The man scrambled to snatch the wad of gum off the street, stuffing it into his pants pocket. Finally, Aki let go of his companion. Meme cream. The brown-haired hustler's face was twisted with fear. Tears streamed down his cheek. Gasping out hasty apologies, the two thugs scampered off. Hey, so... A shy smile came to the girl. Oh, what is a girl? Ryoko Kakinuma, a second-year student at Midoriyama Academy Law School. These hustlers managed to corner her while she was on her way to her part-time job at a cafe. It's a popular plot in trashy novels for the main character to fall in love with a hustler like these guys. But such things rarely happen in real life. Thank you for saving me. No, I apologize. Huh? The girl stared in surprise. You'll run into creeps like that now and then, but don't hold it against us. Shibuya's a good town. Yeah, okay. Aki gave her a quick wave, then turned and continued on his way down Dogenzaka. Aki was Shibuya born and raised. He was keenly aware of all the changes the ward had seen since he was a kid. Grocery stalls in inconspicuous little side streets, tiny parks nestled between buildings. Aki knew it all like the back of his hand. Trash, human or otherwise, had no place in this town. Not on his watch. Aki made his way down toward Shibuya Station. Throngs of people shuffled to and fro across the scramble. The view shifted constantly from one moment to the next, almost as if the city itself were alive. And if the city was a living thing, then Shibuya Station was its heart. With streets like Bunkamura Dori, and Center Guy serving as the arteries pumping a bloodstream made of people. Today, as ever, the heart was pumping that blood to every nook and cranny of Shibuya. We need a meme clean emote. No, we don't. And there was Aki, just another part of this great urban organism. Guess I'm one of the city's white blood cells. Or wait, maybe I'm a red blood cell. Hold on. Is that right? Did I have it right the first time? White blood cells eliminate pathogens from the bloodstream. Red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body. Aki was probably thinking about white blood cells. Emerging from his reverie, he noticed a rather conspicuous young woman standing by the statue of Hachiko outside of Shibuya Station. Ooh, she's totally my type. Wait a minute. My type? What does that mean? To be up someone's alley, to be someone's cup of tea. That doesn't explain anything. I wonder if she's a model or a small-time actress or something. Looks like she's waiting for someone. Probably some other guy. Dang. Good looking as she was, there was no way she wasn't already taken. What kind of guy scored a girl like that? Probably the rich-ass CEO of an IT company or something. Crouching down to tie off the trash bag, he continued gazing wistfully at the girl. Then he noticed something peculiar. She was carrying an attaché case. The kind a businessman might use. It was a large case and apparently so heavy that she was struggling to hold it despite using both hands. Oh. You've reached a decision point. Let's have Aki not approach Hitomi. Now, what kind of person would make a young lady lug around something heavy like that? Aki figured he could offer to carry it for her. No, that's not what we do. But first, I gotta dump this trash. Looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. But first, I gotta dump this trash. He looked around to see if there was a garbage bin nearby. Now, Aki won't approach Hitomi, which means he will avoid being arrested by Kano. And at the same time, Kano's fate will also change. And he will no longer end up at a bad end. A for alpha choice, then you can switch over to Maj. No. Oh. We can switch over Kano's story using the time chart. Time chart. This is a time chart. It shows the protagonist's progression throughout the story. Decision points are marked with Kano's fate has changed based on Aki's actions. Please, no more. You guys are really hating this? Kano's fate has changed based on Aki's actions. Select Kano on the 1030 block. Sus man. I'm falling asleep over here. I suppose you can call it that. Kano gave a wry chuckle at his partner's lack of shame. There he is! Yeah, we know that. Oh, the man in the black coat. He's not Japanese. He looks to be in his early 30s. Previously, Aki got mixed up with Kano and the police, but now, another man has appeared instead. By changing what Aki did, they've also changed Kano's story. A foreign man had emerged from the crowd about 15 feet from where Hitomi was standing. He made his way towards her, his expression blank. You know what game chat would like to see though? It's what's it called? Ghost. It's that DS game, the Ghost game, Ghost Trick. I think chat would like that. He didn't match the description Hitomi had given them, but Kano felt a jolt of nerves all the same. Maybe the kidnapper was using an accomplice to snatch the ransom payment. All right. Sasayama. All right. Sasayama raised an eyebrow. This may be our guy. This was it. Swano. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. He bent his knees, ready for action. Ghost Trick LNS? No, LNS is already set up. Blood rushed to his leg muscles, banishing the stiffness. Yeah, we know that. Was this the culprit? Or perhaps... The stranger took hold of the attaché case. It was him! En masse! The detectives began to close in. Let's go, Kano. On it! Sasayama and Kano leapt into action, but they never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man veered suddenly, running right towards them. What? Kano's story has suddenly hit a keep out. A keep out refers to a point in the story where your progress is currently stopped. In order to advance beyond a keep out, you need to jump from another protagonist's story. Oh, okay. At 10:30, Aki has the text, young man in a suit, set as red keywords. Checking these red keywords will allow you to jump from Aki's story back to Kano's. Now head back to Aki's story and keep an eye out for that key phrase. Oh, okay. Try following the story from Aki at 10:30. Approach the girl. Oh dear, we hit a keep out. Oh well, no other choice than Maj, right? No! Huh? A man had come up beside the girl. He was dressed in black and he wasn't Japanese. Looks like they were having a conversation. The girl nodded tensely at something the man said. Aki stared. Something tells me that's not her boyfriend. The girl handed the attaché case over to the man. He took a hold of it with his right hand and began walking briskly away. Whoa! A nearby homeless man suddenly leapt over Aki and broke into a run, as if he was waiting for this very moment. Homeless man? What's that? Oh, well, that's Yuji Sasayama, a detective with this Shibuya precinct. Known as the cosplay detective due to the strange outfits he wears while on stakeouts. He's partnered with Shinya Kano for the kidnapping investigation. Sprinting alongside him was a young man in a suit. Oh, red notes. Important keywords that let you jump between different protagonists. This allows you to shift between characters at specific points. Clear out a keep out. A window will appear, allowing you to jump. Yeah. Let's do it. Hey guys, this seems different. How's the game? It's a visual novel. Rusty. Half the chat hates it, half the chat loves it. My throat is dying here. By performing a jump from this screen, you can advance another protagonist's story past a keep out. Yeah, let's do it. Jump. Slower pace than Persona 4. Let's go, Kano. On it. Sasayama and Kano leapt into action. You did it! Jump successful! In 428, you will often need to jump to get past another character's keep out. Keep that in mind as you advance throughout the story. Okay, there won't be any more tutorial messages. No! But they never expected what happened next. With the case clutched in both arms, the man suddenly veered, running right towards them. What? Catching sight of the two detectives, the suspect staggered to a halt, then bolted off in a new direction. Kano whipped off his costume glasses and followed in hot pursuit. At the crosswalk, the signal changed to red and the flow of foot traffic abruptly halted. Just as quickly, hundreds of cars all lurched back into motion. There was no escape for the culprit now. Or so it appeared. The converging cops slowed their pace, confident their man was cornered. Then the foreigner barreled straight into the intersection, dodging between the oncoming cars without any hesitation. These foreigners, right? The mob of detectives came to a halt, not eager to rush to their deaths alongside with him. Kano, however, remained in hot pursuit, charging into the traffic at the crossing. Kano! Kano, are you crazy? Come back! Kano heard Sasayama shouting, but his feet kept carrying him onward. With shouts and sirens echoing all around, Kano closed in on the foreigner. Just a little closer. Just a little closer and he'd been in tackling range. He leaned forward, preparing to pounce, his eyes fixed on the culprit's feet. It was now or never. Kano, back off! Don't take him down! It was Kuze. No. Kano, back off! Don't take him down! Shouting through the Kano's earpiece. Huh? Kano hesitated in surprise. Had he really just been ordered not to apprehend the criminal? Let him go for now. The real perp is somewhere else. What the hell's a real perp? Let's find out. Perp is police jargon for perpetrator. Here, Kuze is referring to the fact that the principal offender in this case must be elsewhere. What had happened to the plan? He'd been told that all personnel were to secure the area ASAP. Didn't the HQ want them to catch the perpetrator? Arrest team, stay on the foreigner's trail. Wait a minute. Arrest team? Huh? Arrest team. The police team dedicated exclusively to the task of apprehending the criminal. While the kidnapping case is in progress, the role of the officers involved are carefully designated so that every officer is ready to take immediate action as the situation develops. Typically, tried and true veteran MPD officers are put in charge of the teams for breaking into buildings or apprehending the suspect. That's true, Istar. We probably have like 6 points in it. Forensic team. Get busy cross-referencing photos. Who this? Let's find out. Team deployed by the MPD to handle the actual tests and techniques on on-scene investigation, such as collecting and comparing fingerprints, analyzing photos of suspects. Even if this foreigner was only an underling hired for this one task, the police had now tipped their hand that they've been lying in wait. If they didn't lock things down now and get more info on the kidnapper, a girl's life might be at stake. Kano recalled another maxim from his Dick diary. Dick Dictum 12. Always assume a worst-case scenario. If Kuze had told him to let this guy go, that implied he was counting on the team that was now in position. But if the crook had planned a way to break through the police dragnet and escape with the ransom, and he succeeded, what was the right call here? Should he take this guy down or back off after all? Letting the perp escape now was too big of a risk. He had to catch this guy ASAP. Let the other officers chase after the guy. He has his own job to do. Well, chat, what do we do? Kuze's instructions had been clear. Let the other officers chase after the guy. Kano has his own job to do. He broke off his pursuit, pointing the next wave of detectives in the direction the foreigner had fled. Kano had almost gotten close enough to get a good look on the guy's face. But if Kuze had ordered him to let the guy go, well, his boss should know what he was doing. The perp was someone else's problem now. He had just ceased his pursuit when Kuze's panicked voice sounded shrill in his ear. Eep! Someone's taken Hitomi! Kano recognized Kuze's trademark squawking immediately. Subject is male. He appears to be carrying a gun. He is fleeing in the direction of Meiji Dori. What? Kano could hardly believe it. Hitomi had been kidnapped? Has she been abducted by whomever had taken Maria? But why? Someone must have been waiting for the moment when the police took their eyes off her. Something's very wrong here. What in the world is going on? Kano hurried to search for the man who had taken Hitomi. If he was heading towards Meiji Dori, there was a good chance he'd gone down one of the near alleyways. He'd gone down one of the alleyways nearby. After darting through the side streets, he spotted a different man, another foreigner, crossing an intersection a few dozen meters ahead. The man was dressed in black, just like the guy who grabbed the ransom money. Kuzu's right, the kidnapper wasn't acting alone. Oh wait, something was amiss. Hitomi isn't with him. Where was she? Kano skidded around the corner, then stopped short. The man in black was standing there, pointing a gun right at him. Before Kano could react, the man fired. Kano felt hot all over, as if he were on fire. All except for his cheek, pressed against the asphalt, and the palm of his hands, they all felt so cold. There was nothing he could do. Nothing, that is, except lie there and watch as his killer turned and walked away. Bad end. Shot by a foreigner. By trying to find the man who had taken Hitomi, Kano ran into a different criminal, and unfortunately for him, he got shot. If the criminal hadn't been able to get near Hitomi, she probably wouldn't have been taken. Have Aki make the choice to talk to Hitomi instead at 10:35. Time for Mean Clean. Should turn off the hints now. Oh, okay. First one, then another. A third, a fourth, a fifth. Over a dozen now. What the heck? Clearly something big was going down. Were they after the attaché case? Within moments, Aki lost sight of them all through the crowd. Okay, so we won't read the bad end hints. All right. But wait, what about that girl? Aki turned back around. The girl was still there. She was staring in the direction that the man who had taken the case had gone, a worried expression on her face. Aki couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Maybe he should go talk to her and ask her what's going on. But as he was making up his mind, just as he was making up his mind, a middle-aged man in a ratty business suit shuffled awkwardly over to her first. Was there something wrong with one of his legs? He was using a cane to walk. Then one of his hands slipped into his jacket pocket. Aki could scarcely believe his eyes. It's got a gum. A revolver? Wait a minute. The hell is that? Revolver, huh? A Colt Detective Special, a 38 caliber revolver, introduced in 1927 by Colt Manufacturing Company. A classic example of a snub-nosed revolver. As the name implies, the weapon is frequently carried by detectives, narcotic officers, and the like for self-defense. Suddenly, a young man came running through the crowd. Seeing him, the man with the cane turned on his heel and vanished in the scramble. Something big was going down. What is all of this? The young man was closing in on the girl, his expression grim. That guy's up to no good. Aki sprang into motion. Hoo-yah! Leaping high, Aki delivered a flying kick right between the man's shoulder blades. The guy went down, but recovered surprisingly fast, spinning back to his feet to grapple with Aki. What the hell is your problem? What the hell is your problem, man? Aki snapped. The two staring each other down. Are they gonna make out? Staring down each other as the crowd swirled around them. Well, let go of me. You let go of me first. After you let go of me, sure. You first, pal. Don't you call me pal, man. Don't call me man, pal. Neither man was willing to yield. The crowd had parted to avoid the scuffle. Passerbys were staring from all sides. Well, crap. Aki got a sudden, sinking feeling. What the hell am I even doing? I jumped in over my head as usual. His anger melted away. He loosened his grip. It's like Yakuza. Without further argument, the other man let go of Aki's jacket. Turning quickly away, the stranger hurried over to the statue of Hachiko, where he dropped to his knees, dejected. The girl who had been standing there was nowhere to be seen. Maybe this was the guy she'd been waiting on? The guy was clearly upset that she had been missing. Aki actually felt bad for him. He decided it would be wise to leave while the guy's attention was elsewhere. Whew. He hurried back along the road to his house. The wind had gone out of his sails, and he didn't feel much like cleaning up trash anymore. Ah, well, I guess I'll go read some manga and go to bed. It's 2 p.m., guy. Better play it safe before... No, it's like 10 p.m. At 10 a.m. Better play it safe before the day can get any worse. Manga end. More like bad end, if you know what I mean. Oh, no! Ah, we're not gonna read it. Not gonna get hints. Okay, let's go see Kano. Well, we'll see if that fixed our... Kano headed back to the scramble and took up his post again. Hitomi was still standing at the handoff point, staring worriedly in the direction that the suspect had fled. No doubt she was wondering why, all of a sudden, the police had decided to let the guy go. Kano jogged over to Hitomi. Before he could reassure her, Hiya! A sudden blow from behind sent him sprawling to the ground. Kano's mind flooded with rage as he scrambled back. Scrabbled. Scrabbled? Got a several. I've got a several. My tongue is all twisted now. I've got a 7-letter word here. That was my joke. Took too long to do. What the hell? Yeah, okay, we did this. The crowd had began to stare. Not good. Here he was, causing a scene in public. Blowing his cover in the middle of an important case. This was neither the time nor the place for some dumb, random quarrel. Even as he came to his senses, Kano felt the strength ebb from the stranger's arm. Stranger's grip. He pushed the man away and quickly turned back towards Hitomi. She was gone. He scanned the area for any sign of her, but she had vanished without a trace. Kuze's mobile command center had also disappeared. What did I miss? The blood drained from Kano's face. The investigation had left him utterly behind. There wasn't even any signal on his radio. They must have switched frequencies while he was caught up in the tussle. Kano turned back to confront the troublemaker. He was gone too. Kano spun on his heel, searching, but the young man was nowhere in sight. The attaché case, Hitomi, the troublemaker, he had lost all three. Right out of the starting gate, he bungled the entire operation. Should have let Tateno to look after Hitomi and gone after the attaché case himself. What the hell was he doing? Kano felt his self-confidence ebbing away like water. Maybe it's time to move back to the sticks. Maybe Tokyo's too fast-paced for a screw-up like me. He had no idea what to do next, and so he just stood there, frozen, already drafting his letter of resignation in his head. Bad endo. Both bad ends? What do we do? Oh no, it's not gonna work. What if we chased the suspicious man? Gotta catch the guy ASAP. Letting the perp escape is too big of a deal. He had to catch this guy ASAP. The man darted down a narrow alleyway. Kano ran faster. The man sprinted through the side streets. Evidently, he knew his way around Shibuya pretty well. He noticed two people over by a trash pile. At first, they appeared to be a young couple. But then, looking more closely, he realized that the girl was Hitomi. Mr. Kuze, I've located Hitomi Osawa. The couple took off running, the rough-looking guy dragging Hitomi by the hand. She was with a man in his 20s. It looks like she's being led away against her will. Clarify, please, Kuze demanded. What's going on? I'm not sure. Was this guy a member of some criminal group? Looks like those two were running away from something. Alright, we'll handle the foreigner. You go after Hitomi. Got it. Kano sprang into action. Hey, stop right there! The young man glanced back at Kano. But rather than stopping, he picked up speed. That's Achi, and that's right, the meme cleaner. Continuing to drag Hitomi along with him. She didn't seem quite able to keep up. Kano knew he could catch them. He tried to close the distance in a sprint. After a short distance, the young man stopped, realizing he could not outrun his pursuer. Shielding Hitomi behind him, he glowered at Kano. "Why'd you run off?" Kano demanded. "Because you were chasing us." A blatant lie. People didn't just bolt like that without good reason. The young tough started edging away, keeping Hitomi behind him. Kano followed. "Look, just let the girl go." The guy glanced back at Hitomi. She shook her head fearfully. Maybe this troublemaker had warned her to keep her mouth shut. "You've got this, Kano. Just don't let them out of your sight." A sudden blow to the top of his head left him staggering. His eyes spun as he reeled with vertigo. There was a flapping sound and a vague black shape wheeled above him. Was that a crow? That was the last thing Kano saw before his vision went dark. Bado end! Was that a crow? Oh, but Aki doesn't have a bad end anymore. Well, let's try the B route. Another crazy day in Shibuya. They had to be shooting a scene for a film on location. It would probably be a mistake to intrude. It would probably be a mistake to intrude. Yeah, I bet that's what it is. Some TV show about a kidnapping and the girl had to make a ransom handoff. And there's probably some actor lurking around here playing the suave, handsome detective. Aki gave a chuckle and turned away. A soothing breeze blew by as wispy clouds drifted overhead. They picked a nice day for a shoot. Smiling inwardly, he resumed his trash-picking mission, wondering what other surprises the day would hold. A few moments later, he heard a loud bang, and the scramble went into an uproar. Huh? Someone blow a tire? People were running from all directions to see what had made the sound. Oh, maybe they're shooting an action scene now. Aki was a tad bit curious, but he strolled away from the scramble without looking back. Maybe he'd head out to Yatsuya, a neighborhood in the Shinjuku ward in the southeastern part of Tokyo, located approximately 4 kilometers northeast of Shibuya Station. While the numbers 4, 2, and 8 in Japanese can be pronounced the same as the syllables for the name Shibuya, they can also be pronounced as the syllables for Yatsuya. What? Additionally, April 28th is both Shibuya Day and Yatsuya Day, also with Seniors Day. Yeah, see, we're learning something every day. It was best not to get distracted. There was trash that needed to be collected. Oh. Japan facts. Bad endo. Your future is garbage. Well, that's just not very nice. I'm just gonna say it right now. Subject is male. Appears to be carrying a gun. Oh wait, we did this. This is where we get shot. Oh. Making a snap judgment, Kano told the detective behind him to follow the case snatcher. Then turned and headed down the nearest alley. After darting through the side streets, he spotted a different man, another foreigner. Okay, yeah. It's the same thing where we get shot. Maybe it's time to allow the hints. Well, what do we do? Your future is garbage. So if we take the A route, imagine being this bad at VNs. Got a gub. Whoa. With a single fluid motion, the man lifted up a gun and pointed it in the girl's direction. He was aiming right for her head. Huh? The girl had noticed the man with the cane now. Seeing the gun pointed at her, she froze in fear. Aki didn't hesitate. Breaking into a full run, he tackled the gunman with all his might. Caught off guard. The man sprawled to the pavement. But the would-be assassin kept hold of his weapon and quickly scrambled. Back to his feet. Aki knew he had to act fast. He grabbed the ashen-faced girl by the arm and attempted to drag her away. This way, he shouted. She just stared at him, uncomprehending, trembling like a startled animal. Come on, run! Finally, the girl snapped out of her daze and gave a fearful nod. The police box, let's go. Just get out of here. The police box. Let's go. Pulling the girl by the hand, Aki's headed for the police box outside the train station. But it was empty. There were always policemen staffing these things, so why did it have to be unmanned now? Aki flashed a worried glance behind him, and he saw the assassin in pursuit like a man possessed. Yikes, this is not good. There was nothing they could do but run. With the frightened girl now in tow, Aki ran beneath the JR Yamanote line. What is that? A railway loop line that services the Tokyo metropolis. Typically, the morning rush is quite intense, with the stretch from Ueno Station to Okashimimachi Station. Sometimes crowded as high as 216% capacity. Roughly 300 people riding in a space designed for 143. Unrelated to the Yamate line, subway that operates in the city of Kobe. Kobe. Don't worry, just trust me, he told her. But first, they sped past the convenience store where an employee was cleaning out the sidewalk. Hey, take this, will ya? Aki tossed over the bag of trash. Huh? Wait, what? This way. They slipped through the crowd and into a nearby back alley. But this way's a dead end, the girl said breathlessly. Like I said, just trust me. Stopping abruptly, Aki kicked down a wooden plank covering a gap between the two buildings, clearing a space that a person could fit through. See, we can get away through here. In you go. But the girl just stood there, looking terrified. What's the matter, Aki? Come on, we gotta hurry. But I... She looked at him as if he too was about to pull a gun on her. He could hardly blame her. After all, it was just some random guy who had turned up out of nowhere. Though this was no time for dawdling. The man with the cane had appeared at the end of the alleyway. If they just stood there, he was going to catch them. Okay, sweetheart, hear me out, he said in a rush. The name's Aki Endo. I live in the neighborhood, and I'm not the kind of guy to stand idly while a girl is being chased by some killer. So please, just trust me and I'll do my best to keep you safe. He hoped the look in his eye could convince her that he was being on the level. After a painfully long moment, the girl nodded her acceptance. Whew. Right, let's start with this. They had paused beside an enormous stack of beverage case crates. With a quick shove, Aki knocked the whole pile down, sending it cascading across their pursuer's path. Now that was a close call. The man with the cane was floundering, struggling to get past the fallen crates. He has a cane. It's gonna take a while. My bad, man, Aki called out. Mind cleaning that up for me? The man scowled back at them and fumbled for his gun. Aki flashed him a wave of goodbye and slipped away between the buildings with the girl. Hey there, Robbie. How's it going? Log lady. Hurrying down a narrow alley, they emerged into the side street lined with dive bars and clubs. Assuming the man with the cane hadn't given up, he would probably lie in wait on the path back to the main road. Aki decided their best bet was to try and stay inconspicuous rather than risk getting caught on the move. I guess we can lie low here for a bit. He led the girl to the entrance of a tiny old hostess club. She followed him reluctantly. Aki flicked the switch inside the front door and a chintzy chandelier glowed to life. He sat the girl down on a small sofa beside the counter. She gave him a worried look. Aki felt a pang of embarrassment as he realized what she must be thinking. Oh no, don't get a wrong idea. I'm not trying to do any funny business. Someone I know used to run this place. We're not in business anymore, so I figured it would be safe here. The girl chuckled at his evident discomfort. All right then, she said. So, we good? We're good. Okay, well, good. Aki made a vague attempt to straighten his disheveled clothes. So, how about some introductions? I'm Aki Endo, like I said earlier. Just call me Aki. I'm Hitomi Osawa. You can call me Hitomi, I guess. With each new word out of Hitomi's mouth, Aki felt his heart sing. She was charming, personable, and just about everything about her was captivating. Aki had never met another girl like her. Aki? Buh? Is something the matter? You were spacing out there for a bit. Aki shook his head to dispel his daze. Damn it, this is no time to get all starry-eyed. He needed to think of some way to keep her safe from the guy who was after her. Look, you can tell me what the heck is going on. Please, I need to know if I'm gonna help you. Right, okay. I'm not really sure where to begin. Hitomi looked down, lost in thought. Apparently, hers was a long story. All right, she said at last. I guess I'll just explain things as they happened. Wait, hold up. Could you keep it as simple as you can? I mean, I'm not really the sharpest tool in the shed. Complicated explanations ain't exactly my strong suit. Okay, Hitomi chuckled. I'll try my best. She got comfortable and then she started her story. So last night, somebody abducted my sister. The kidnapper demanded that I made the ransom handoff personally. He told me to stand by the statue of Hachiko in Shibuya at 10 o'clock in the morning. Whoa. So I did, and this man came by and took the attaché case with the money. And then afterwards, another guy with a cane turned up and pointed his gun at me and... Oh, I'm sorry, hold up a sec. Aki had suddenly lost the thread of the conversation. What does lost the thread mean? Oh. Okay, hello tutorial. Could you say that again, but like simpler? Huh? Sure. I'm just having trouble following is all. I mean, is this the plot to some movie or soap opera? No, that's not. Or some kind of hidden camera show? This is real. This really happened. The look in Hitomi's eyes was dead serious. She's got to be telling the truth. What could be the point of lying? And he had seen the attaché case and the gunman himself. How much was the ransom, if you don't mind me asking? Hitomi hesitated. 50 million yen, she said after a moment. Aki gave a whistle of amazement. The detectives told me that it was a typical amount for a kidnapper to ask for. It's plenty, that's for sure. I guess there's good money in that sort of thing. As soon as the words were out, he realized his blunder. Uh-oh. Fumbled the ball there, buddy. Sorry, I shouldn't have put it that way. He fidgeted awkwardly and Hitomi looked away. I'm an idiot. But okay, I think I got this kidnapping thing. So I'm guessing those guys who chased the guy who took the ransom were undercover cops? He replayed the scene in his head. But then, the kidnapper took the attaché case and ran, right? So if you were empty-handed, why did that guy with the cane come after you? I'm honestly not sure. Hitomi's words trailed off. This was clearly difficult for her to talk about. Anyway, we should probably get you to the police as soon as we... No, we can't do that. Hitomi's tone was resolute. I can't take this to the police. Why not? Aki waited for an answer, but none came. After a long and awkward silence, she stood up from her seat. I really appreciate the help, but I should go now. He gave Aki a deep bow. Nah, hold on. What do you mean go? Go where? He hurried to intervene as she headed for the door. I don't want to cause you any more trouble. I'll figure the rest out on my own somehow. Hey, I said hold on. Hitomi ignored him and opened the door, and their argument came to an abrupt halt. Standing there was the man with the cane, his revolver in his hand. To be continued. Akiendo's story ends here. However, Shinya Kano still has more to do. Read along further in Kano's story. Perfect time to end the stream? Yeah, I guess so. Alright, so that'll be it for 428 Shibuya Scramble. Boy, is my throat parched. Thank you, Freeport. On that, hope you guys enjoyed it. We got another stream in 2.5 hours. We're going to be playing Tactics Ogre Reborn. That should be a lot of fun. And yeah, that'll be it for me for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.